we're here today to talk about being gay and fabulous, right? I welcome Dan Crowley, artist, performer, sculptor, you name it, he can create it. And now he has a new wonderful book called Danny, Growing Up Gay and Creative. And I just drew to that title immediately because I was gay and creative growing up, but I was not acknowledged by me or anyone else because of the standards we grew up with, they were quite different. I remember, members of my family being like, well, but you'll be gay. And I was just like, what? What, is that bad? Not even knowing what that meant,
Yeah, right before I started high school, my older brother and sister were already going to that high school. And right before I started, my sister pulled me aside one day and said, don't act so queer.
Nice.
And, don't embarrass me, is what she was saying, really.
Right. I mean, I used to tap dance down the hallways with bright, sequiny shirts and singing, Shirley Temple songs. And I thought that was perfectly natural.
Right. And I was the only guy in my class who liked Funny Lady. And I didn't understand why, I just had everything. But Mackie costumes, what are you talking about?
Right. Theater, damn it.
But that's what my book is about. My book, when lockdown started, here's the pitch on my book. When lockdown started, March 12th of 2020, I knew that I was going to be locked in my studio and I wanted to have a project that would be my lockdown project, a life project. And I already had 2 book projects that I was working on. And both of those are gay too. One's about a penguin and a polar bear who are a couple, and the other one is about gay mice. But I was working on those when I got into lockdown, and I thought, I want to do something life important. If this is what I get to do, this might be the only thing I get to do. So I started work on writing something about my childhood and pulling out all the stories in my head of gay moments or moments when I was more than everybody wanted in any way, right? So I started writing all these moments down and figuring out, what to say about them. And then I started pulling out the ones that could be understood immediately. And then I started realizing what the book really is for the reader. I kind of toned down my story, kind of toned down my identity. It's not about where I lived. It's not about exactly what year or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's about what happened to this kid, because it probably happened to you too. And you just shared that. I mean, you're tap dancing down the hallway.
That's right.
If I could dance, it might have been one of my drawings. My version of that. I'd get home from 4th grade. Nobody would be home. I would turn on Jesus Christ Superstar and wail for 2 hours. I'd sing the instruments. I would sing it all, get all of the angst out.
Right.
So anyway, the book is 50 pages, 50 moments where being gay or creative popped up in my life. And it starts from my being born and it takes you over to my high school graduation. So it's a single character book and you see that character having different moments.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Can you share some of your favorite moments without giving too much of the book away?
Sure, I would love to. I'll start when I'm little. Here's Danny sitting on the bed talking to his teddy bear. And there's a poster of Mae West over the bed. And he says, thanks for listening. Because, when I was, kids who are out on their own, they talk to the stapler. It needs to come out. They talk to anything.
That's right.
When I was 6, Danny's church goes to see the movie The Bible, and he likes Adam the best.
I know that there was something always hot about those iconic saints.
That's correct. Here, this one, I like this one. Oh, this one. Well, I'm about 11 and 12. And it says, the book Danny finds in his parents' room made the life of a homosexual sound pretty grim. And here I am reading everything you always wanted to know about sex, but was afraid to ask. Do you remember that book?
I
It said,
do.
it basically said that for gay people, there is no love in life for you. You will never have any love. You will never have a partner. You are doomed to life in the bathroom. That's it.
Yep.
I
Alone,
was a,
alone.
yeah, I was a good Catholic boy. That's not what I wanted from life, you know. And
Right.
I'm being told that it wasn't possible. But thank God they were wrong.
So wrong.
Here's one. Uh, Danny hears that the boys who like boys are the sin that dare not speak its name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
effect that that has on children.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you're
that comes
still,
from everyone older than you, especially our generation, right? It's like anyone who was a depression era and early boomers, they were all anti-gay. Oh, you're going to have such a lonely life, you know?
yeah, there was no place for you to go. There was no community. There was nobody to look towards.
Right.
Paulin and Snagglepuss. That was basically it for gay stereotypes on TV.
That's right.
But even
Paul
those
Lind.
guys, they're not going to be taken seriously by a bank. You know,
No, no, I mean, Paul Lind died very miserably from his alcoholism. He was never happy. Yet
yeah,
all he did was make people happy,
right, right.
from his earliest days, and I relate to that. I was always trying to be jocular, you too. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why when we met years and years and years ago, we really kind of got into it. It was like, oh, yeah, okay, you like to be brilliant and funny too.
It is nice when you're young, especially when you first start meeting other people who are gifted, because out on your own, everybody's just into sports, and that's what being gifted is. If you can hit something or pick it up, hooray for you, you're gifted. But
Right.
then when you get into a performing arts department or an art department, or like us, into a summer theater situation, and you meet other people who it's their passion to pull this thing out,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful thing, and it helps you to do more. You get to a new level when you're around that other creative energy.
Yeah. Yeah, you totally do.
Speaking of being around other creative energy, one of these drawings, if I can find it, when I was starting to realize how different I was than I was supposed to be, supposedly, I started wondering about the rest of my family. It says, hiding part of himself made Danny wonder who else in the family was like him. And there's Danny standing in front of the family tree of photographs and paintings and portraits,
Yeah.
looking at them, trying to figure out who's hiding,
Yeah.
who's not being themselves.
Wow.
So anyway,
That's really deep. Yeah, that's a deep one right there,
thank you.
because yeah, no, because that, what I've discovered now, as we grow older and older, it's like, well, there was, uncle this, and well, he was always performing and he was never home. You find out about these different family members who may have lived double lives because of the eras they grew up in, and then you even see stuff like that in your own parents, denials of their young dalliances.
I like the whole rainbow idea for everything. I even mention at the end of my book that, basically we all grow up to be ourselves, and there's a spot for everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to be what everyone tells you. You can be what it is inside of you. Bring it out.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be defined sexually.
Well, and like Kinsey was, saying, with sexuality, if it runs from 1 to 10, most people fit somewhere in the middle anyway,
Right.
of heterosexual to homosexual.
Mhm.
And I think the middle probably just is bigger than we think. You know,
It's probably mainly middle.
it's probably mostly middle.
Which means we should all get along better because we're all kind of up for anything.
Oh yeah, but we're still getting over evolution. We just barely, started settling on all of the continents in as far as in the big picture of man's existence. Now we're at the point where we can talk to everybody around the world. I have friends, with my interests in puppetry. I have puppet friends, professional puppeteers in China, in Russia. All these people that I start my day with them. I have artists all around the world. I have performers all around the world. world. I love that. I love that. And I don't use social media to just complain about my government. You
No.
know, I don't use social media just to ask for sympathy or money. You know, I do look at it as a way of you know, a huge artist salon, you know, and whatever you're into, you can find someone who's a master at it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm into miniatures, but these people put me to shame. You know, my dollhouse is kind of, you know, I'm losing my vision. There's a lot of hot glue that you see, right? These people, they do incredible things. And you know, I have been making my living as an artist for over 30 years. And
Which in
when
itself is amazing, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, right. I've seen a lot of people drop by the wayside, as have you. You've seen people who were wonderfully gifted who wound up completely in something else.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Well, I'm
so
one of those people. I mean, I was an opera singer for most of my life until I was like 36 or 37. And then I really wanted to get into digital arts. I just wanted to create stuff with the visions and images and stuff that I see everywhere and have fun with that and maybe not have to
right.
be in front of a huge audience singing.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that when you're gifted, you're probably gifted in more than one way. But we feel like somehow we're not being true to ourselves if we don't put all of our eggs in one basket. You know, you might be the world's best ventriloquist, but you never tried it. It might be a natural thing for you, but you never tried it. You
Mhm.
know, um, I'm gifted in a lot of different things, and I'm not the best at any of them. But this is my lifetime and my chance to play with them, and I'm going to play with them. You know, and
Yeah.
putting a book out that was something that was personal, that's something I always wanted to do. And I
Mhm.
did it. I mean, and the fact that you know, part of the story of the making of this book, I wanted to make this book. It was an important life project for me. I was thinking of doing it as a GoFundMe thing and like printing up a bunch of copies, then trying to sell them myself, right? And while I'm working on the book, I start getting emails from a friend of mine who works for a publishing house, and they said, you know, I think they'd be interested in this when you're finished. And then when I was talking, I was almost finished. He wrote me and said, "We want to see this." So I finished it and I sent it to them, and they sent me a contract. And so they said, "We love this. We want to put this out." They did, and it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon in its little category there for a few days. And you know, I was shown it's selling in Japan, it's selling in Australia. Um,
How
I
exciting.
saw it in French the other day. I was like, you know, and it wasn't until I saw it on the website in Japan when I really thought, gee, this is a really personal project. You know, what did whatever it was that I ever tried to hide about being gay when I was little is
Mhm.
in this book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To all of a sudden realize how bigly I shared it. So, but I'm thrilled.
Well, that and how much it resonates, Dan.
Yeah,
I mean, even for
that's the point.
kids and parents, parents are clueless still about how to diversify their children's sexuality. They jump to, oh, they're a tranny, or they jump to all these things. And it's just like, no, 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 don't jump. Let the child evolve. And your book seems like a great way to do that, because the child will be confronted with all these standard things that society throws, but it's what the thoughts are. It's in how to turn that into something good, right?
Right. Right. And also the book is not about the reaction. You know,
Right.
we see Danny in the locker room holding a towel around himself, like, you know, Loretta Lynn or something. Loretta Young.
Up
Uh,
here.
please. You know, we know the situation. We know the bullying. We know he's being brave, is my point.
Yeah.
Being brave in the palace of bullies
Mhm.
is the name of the drawing. So yeah, I wanted everybody to fill in their own background with it, and so therefore I have received amazing emails from people I received a lovely photograph of this like 10-year-old boy laying in bed reading my book that his mother took. He's a little kid who's always been kind of different himself,
Mhm.
little artistic kid. Uh, yeah, I mean, how do you how do you take, what do you do with that? That's huge. It's just huge. That's what I wanted it to do. And, I got written proof that it did that in some places.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for it. And I love the fact that it brought me to a publisher who said, we look forward to what you do next. So,
Wow.
so I'm working on 2 more books that'll be companion pieces
Oh,
that are not
fantastic.
about this. They're the penguin and the polar bear. So, but that's what it's funny because you'll appreciate this. They kept saying in the marketing of the book, they kept saying, we don't know how to place this. This doesn't fit any of our criteria because it's not really a kid's book. It's not really an adult book. So we don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, that completely fits the book and my life story.
Mhm.
We don't fit. That's the point. Your squares are too small, man.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because it's kind of a comic book in some ways, right?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, you could say it's a cartoon. It's 50 cartoons, but they're full color drawings with a caption. I like to say, because it was very expensive to produce it. Let me tell you, full color book.
Yeah, very expensive.
But it's an important thing, and it's important that we see our history visually. I've seen artists who take like sheet music from the 20s and then change it so that the cover is still looks exactly the same, except it's 2 men or 2 women,
Mhm.
because our history, our life was stolen from us. It
Yeah.
was hidden from society. And now it's important that we do see pictures of little kids just being weird. And I believe that being gay, I was gay way before I knew anything about sex. It's not about sex, it's about a whole life energy. It goes much bigger than sex.
Well, and it's weird how we've clamped down over the 20th century and now into this century in some ways, because I loved the 1930s sissy characters, right? They were hilarious, Edward Horton and
Oh,
and
I know. He's one of my role models.
I know, I love those guys, and then they were all, disappeared by the code, by the Hays Code,
Yeah.
by the 40s. Those sissy characters were then too tongue in cheek, same with African Americans. It's like they went from being servants to being funny servants to then being servants that had their own movie, but it was still locked within that code, So I love revisionist in that way. We do that in opera all the time. It's like, no, actually, there were African American opera composers in the 19th century.
Yeah.
Let's not ignore them.
Right. And that makes this a really exciting time to be an artist because I call all of them Netflix series, whatever they're on. They're all a Netflix series. It's something it's like 8 parts or so, half an hour. Anyway, we started watching these things and I was amazed because like the ones we watched were all, written, produced, directed, starred by women. They're all, Villanelle and Killing Eve, these powerful women, villains and heroes and the people in between. But there's stories, and also in some of the Netflix series that are starring women that are funny, like Russian Doll. Um, you have jokes that would never have been made by male writers. You have
Mhm.
insights that are never going to come out of a male writer's mind. All of a sudden, we're getting new stories. We're getting new points of view. We're getting a new artistic energy and input, and it's wonderful. And
Yeah.
it's time now for gay stories to hit the screen. Come
Mhm.
on, you know,
See, Danny, the movie would be
right?
great.
Please make me a Disney princess. That's all I ask.
And that's one of the things, I think what is great about your book is that you're digging down into your life and pulling out these great experiences that you thought of. You were there, and they made you who you are today.
Thank you. Yeah, and in doing that, I put I had a big pad of paper, and I put paper up all over the wall. And I wrote down one piece of paper for each year. And I did a little drawing of what Danny looked like that year, and some sort of, this is the kind of outfit I wore then. And then as the days went by and I would remember stories, I try to remember when that happened and then write it down. These pages were full of ideas. That's when I had to go through and edit and see which idea was universal. It didn't just happen to me, it happened to everybody. Which ones were universal, which ones were something you could see like a billboard and it would make sense, because we go so fast now.
Now, obviously, with your talent, because you make dolls and paintings, and then you have your wonderful finger puppets and sculptures, it's like, I'm sure that people, have said, hey, you should do a children's book for years, but right.
And they have, and I've always pulled back from that. And I was saying to somebody else the other day that I never considered myself a writer at all until I got online and there was spell check. Because all of my life, all of my education life, I was told that, in English class, I sucked. My spelling is just terrible. And it just, you get 3 misspellings and there goes a grade and a half, right? Yeah. So it really sucked. Therefore, I didn't feel comfortable writing people. Therefore, I didn't share my writing. But once I got online and had spell check and could start working on it, it just started to flow. And I started doing my good morning posts on Facebook.
Which I love. Thank you.
Thank you. All of a sudden I got like 2,000 people following me on that thing, and at some point I'll put out a book that they've asked for too, which is just a collection of those good morning things. Yeah. But yeah, I've wanted to do a children's book most of my life, and all of a sudden the pieces just fell into place. And my work is, I don't do personal work. I'm not the focus of my work. I never am the focus of my work. I very rarely even do self-portraits. So to do something that's as personal as possible and to have it being sold all over the world, it's just like, wow, never, ever, ever did I think that would happen. No.
And that's the great surprise. We just kind of all of a sudden bloom,
Yeah.
Do you still have an active, gallery on Etsy and selling stuff there as well?
Yeah, I'm on Etsy, Dan Crowley Studio on Etsy, Dan Crowley Studio on Facebook. Yeah, I do those. I do a lot of portraiture. I'm working on a dog portrait right now for a dog that just passed. A woman commissioned the sculpture of the dog. Wow. And they're done, in my polymer clay technique. And yeah, I've been doing that for like 35 years, sculpting puppets and doing portraiture that way.
I famously remember you giving Carol Channing a doll of her own Hello Dolly, and you guys became friends, didn't you?
Yeah, she was lovely. What a lovely woman. I was so excited when she was coming to town in '94. I had my first big window display at Tiffany and Company. I had done these characters for them. And then Hello Dolly was coming in. It was such an important thing in my childhood. And it's not even in the book, which is funny. It'll be in the next one. I wanted her to have a puppet of mine. I wanted her to know that I was going to be there. And so I made a finger puppet of her, and it had red fringe all the way, down the body for her red fringe outfit. A little sculpted her face, little feathers in it. And then I wanted to make sure it didn't just disappear. So I dressed up in like a messenger, and I printed up a receipt with carbon and a clipboard. And I went down to the theater and I said I had a delivery and I needed someone to sign for it. So they told me to go around to the side door where all the tech people were. And so I went over there and they said, oh no, go across the stage, go get that guy over there, go have him sign it. So I got to walk across the stage for the Hello Dolly set. Like there I am in Yonkers, right?
I love that.
Oh my God, I'm just like walking around the Schubert. And then this guy takes the box and signs for it. The next day I get a phone call And this guy talks like this. And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke until he told me he was Carol Channing's assistant. Carol Channing was looking forward to meeting me after the show. And he said, I have to tell you, Carol loved the fringe on your puppet. When she first looked at the puppet, she said, about the fringe, she said, you don't suppose it's off a G-string?
Love that.
I love that. So anyway, yeah, I got to see her after the show. I got to talk with her, and I gave her my card, and that was lovely. And then I know she moved to Palm Springs, and yeah, she was a legend for a reason. She was an amazing person.
Amazing person, and I love everything about her. And you've also done like Steve Martin as well, correct?
Steve Martin, and the Steep Canyon Rangers, I think is their name. I might have gotten it wrong.
That's his music group.
Yeah, they came to Old Town School of Folk Music, and so Old Town commissioned me to make puppets of everybody, and I did for a fundraiser and the night that Steve Martin came, he saw the puppets and he loved them, and he signed his puppet and had everybody sign their puppets, and then he took a picture of them and tweeted it out with my name and everything.
Wow.
So it was like the biggest ad Old Town School of Folk Music ever had.
Right? I bet.
You're welcome. It always pays to have a homosexual around.
You gotta have one.
Yeah, they work better in twos, but not necessarily. I mean, that's one of the things too, is that as far as we're myth busting, let's myth bust the idea that all gay people are alike. Because it's like, the cover of my book, it says, Danny growing up gay and creative. Because as you know, there are non-creative gay people out there.
That's right.
There are. Yeah. There are non-fashion conscious gay people out there. Mm-hmm. And there are gay people who can't dance.
Sad to say.
Hey.
No, I mean, there's athletes and construction workers and just regular old folk who are gay and don't fit in necessarily to the, banana hammock culture as much as other people do, and, they don't go to bars, they don't go to Pride, because they're just not outgoing in that way,
It's not who they are, right?
It's not who they are, and I always feel bad about that in some ways, because my partner is very much like that. He's not standard issue, culturally bound or anything like that. And it's hard on him, where do you fit in, if you're not mainstream?
Well, and then there's the fitting in dilemma, because I was just part of an authors forum, and all of these gay authors from around the country all came to Chicago, and we got to be on this thing at the Gerber Hart Library. It was very exciting. And talking with them when they had been in Chicago for a couple of days before the event, we had dinner, and I found out the gay neighborhood, Boys Town, first of all, they've nixed Boys Town. That's sexist, so we don't call it that anymore. I don't know what we call it now, but it used to be called Boys Town. And that the gay press is basically gone in Chicago.
Wow.
Many of the gay bars and that kind of stuff have changed as the neighborhood became more and more expensive. More and more homosexuals moved in with their baby strollers and everything else, and so they got baby stores that those people need. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that's happening with assimilation. The ghettos are disappearing.
Yeah.
The gay bars are disappearing because we don't congregate in bars like we used to. Now they use apps,
Growler, Grinder.
Whatever. Yeah. And communication face to face is becoming a lost art form,
Yeah.
So things are changing, and that's,
it's what happens.
It's what happens. It's what happens. So just sit back and enjoy it. Yeah.
Totally. So Dan, where can people find your book?
On Amazon.
Okay.
On Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble has the e-reader, but so does Amazon. Okay. So also I have Rattling Good Yarns Press is the name of the publisher, and they have it on their website too.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And what do you want people to really take away from the book? We want, we want them to experience, what you've put forward, because it's very intimate, and I know beautifully illustrated. So what would you want, but what do you want people to take away?
I would like people to look at it, put their own stories into the pages, and to take away from it that big picture, this weird moment with this kid that you're experiencing, if you're the adult or if you're the kid having this moment that you got yelled at about, to know that it's part of a larger picture, big picture. You're not strange, you're just one of the people that does this kind of stuff.
Right.
This is part of what your people do. And by your people, I mean the creative ones, the gifted ones, with your gifts and your creativity. And there are others out there. There's a reason why all of these gay men, without knowing each other, all at the same age, all loved the Poseidon Adventure. It grabbed them. There's a reason for that. It's not like a gay movie. It's not like the Village People are in it or Steve Reeves, but something about it connected to us. There's something that connects us more than sex. It's a whole viewpoint on life and experience.
Yeah.
And that comes across in my book. And that helps people, adults who have a special child in their life, to give it a little bit of extra string. Let them be a little bit. Don't try to clamp down. Don't try to force boy gifts on a boy if the boy doesn't want them. Don't make a kid take baseball if he doesn't want it.
Right. Beautiful. That's beautiful. I love it, because I just, I also see the book being really helpful for our lost 20-somethings now, Gen Zs, as they're coming into their 20s. Gen Zers have identity crises, and
well, of course they do. Look at the world that they're entering.
Yeah.
Everything's in flux. What are they supposed to be? They don't know. What goal do you have now? What, oh, I want to tap dance on Broadway. Oh, okay. There's 6 of those jobs every year. Good luck, kid.
Yeah, right. We'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, I want people to have that dream. Actually, I want more tap dancers to be hired. That's what we got to do. But yeah, it's up to us to cheer on the people who lose hope, and remind them that it's not about the success that comes from outside. It's the success that comes from inside. You're doing this thing because you love this thing, because it has to come out. And don't sit around and say, oh, I'm not using my gift, no one's hiring me. Well, then, okay, hire yourself. Put yourself to work.
I said that to singers.
Do the thing.
All during COVID.
Making money from it. Yeah.
Yeah. All during COVID, I was saying this to singers. They're like, what do I do? I'm like, sing. Why should anything about what you do change just because you don't have a contract?
Right.
Was that the sum of why you were doing this? You spent all that money in training to just wait for a contract? Get up in the front of a mic, do something. And a lot of people did. And wow.
Yeah. It was amazing. Oh, one of the people I saw was Betty Buckley. Betty Buckley did a few little, video things that she sent out there. And she sang the song about being afraid. And she shared the fact that it was early in the days of COVID, and she was terrified.
Yeah.
And so she sang a song about being afraid, and then how do you pull back from that? Because the answers, as you know, the answers are in musicals.
Yeah.
All the problems that we're dealing with, there is an answer somewhere in an Angela Lansbury song. There really is. Listen to that teapot. That's all I say. Listen to
She just sang that again, 96 years old, sang it at a Broadway benefit. They practically rolled her out, but she sang it as perfectly as she ever sang anything.
Wow.
Age is meaningless.
Yeah. And she's just giving a gift to the audience and taking one back. Yeah.
Totally. There was this, a bell and a beast over on the side of the stage waltzing. No one was looking at them. They're looking at this 96-year-old woman.
Look at the woman in the chair. Look at her.
That's right. 10 is old as time.
That's lovely. I'm glad. 96.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Dan, I have to thank you for your time today. This has been amazing.
It really has, Joe. It's lovely to see you, and thank you for letting me gab.
I'm changed. I love it. These interviews always change me. I come off of them and my partner Nick is like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I just got fueled for the next 10 days."
Leave me alone. I'm moved.
I moved. I'm having fun. Get over it.